I come home one night to him in my bed, which the next day is when I found out the basement window was broken, and that's how he got in.
But 100 years ago, that would have been a romantic story.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to episode 2 of Roughly Explained. It's me, Megan Lee, here with the one and only.
And I'm not accepting my lawyer's plea. I'm Dustin Watson.
So, as I said before, we're going to get into some dating stories. Go ahead and slap me with your best or worst dating story, if I haven't heard it already.
There's a few good ones, but mostly it's been bad. I went through a period where I liked women that were not balanced, and that's exciting and fun. It's like, I don't know, maybe she'll murder me, maybe she'll steal from me, who knows, let's see where this goes.
Maybe she'll put a knife to my neck.
Hey, we're not here to judge. There's a depth level. It's like acceptable. Whoa.
It's the adrenaline rush.
Sure.
Yeah.
You gotta have fun with life. But
yeah.
The one time where I realized I'd made a mistake was one girl, she had stayed over, and sure, that's fine. And then the next day, it's like, I got to go to work. She's like, I'm sleeping in. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I don't care. You can stay here. I'm going to work. And because I've got anything valuables all locked away, so there's no real risk here. But then I come home from work and she's here, and I'm like, oh, that's fine, whatever. But then I realize her friend's here. I'm like, that's confusing, but whatever. And I got home late, so it's like, well, I'm showering, and then I go to bed. And then I wake up in the morning, her and her friend are there, and I'm like, okay, we have a problem. But we have a problem I'm going to ignore and go to work. And that's what I did. And then I come home from work, her and her friend are still there, but with luggage. I'm like, ooh, this is a problem that can't be ignored, but I'm going to. And so I showered and went to bed. And then I wake up the next morning, I come out of my bedroom, and a guy looks me straight in the face and says, who are you? I go, who? I'm the guy that lives here. Who are you?
Who are you?
Now, I'll give him credit. He was very apologetic. He was like, I thought it was one of their places. I was like, nope. And he was like, I'm sorry. And he was a great guy. We hung out after a few times.
Were these Tinder girls?
Yeah, because where else do these girls exist? And at that point, I realized we've got a major problem. And luckily, at that point, I had my Wi-Fi router into a light switch. It was into an outlet that was on a light switch. And so if you accidentally hit that light switch, there was no Wi-Fi. I was like, all right, all my internet, and I have like smart lights, and it's all through Wi-Fi. Let me just flip this switch and go to work. That'll solve this problem. Because I didn't want to deal with it still. And I go to work, and I come home, sure enough, house was empty, except for their luggage. I'm like, ooh, I think I'm going to bed early. I'm going to lock these doors and turn the lights off and go to bed. And then I was getting calls and knocks on the door. It's like, don't hear anything. Snoop, 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 snoop. And the next morning, I was like, oh, sorry, I put your stuff outside because I live in a safe area. You can come pick it up. I don't want you to not have it, but I can't leave my house unlocked. And, it worked. So I would recommend, if you're going for some crazies, just have that Wi-Fi on a light switch where you can kill it. Live in a safe neighborhood so you can put their stuff outside.
It's the fact that the Wi-Fi is what got them to leave.
It's the fun. Yeah, you got to make your place not be appealing.
Oh, there's no Wi-Fi here. We're out.
Yeah,
we're done.
There's no TV. There's no internet. Like, you don't have some of your fun party. Like, you gotta have a presentable place. That's what you do when you're dating, is you peacock and have a nice place. So instead, I'm like, let me make it not nice. It was a safer option than releasing cockroaches. That may have been plan B.
Oh, hell no.
But instead, the Wi-Fi did it.
You would have had me out within 1 second if I saw a roach.
Maybe like kill one and bring it in and leave it out. Then it's like, oh, this will solve it. Because the only other option would be to have a logical conversation where you're polite and just, hey, you can't stay here. That would be ridiculous to do. Instead, you need an elaborate ploy involving electronics and dead bugs.
I can't even argue that. I can't. If I saw one roach, I'm done. I'm out. I'm leaving. I'm not coming back. Like, I have 5 cats for a reason. There are no bugs in my place, and I have pest control come. They hate me at how much I call them, because if I even see a fly, I'm like, come kill it. I don't like bugs in my place.
I had ants coming into my place at one point which is ridiculous. I never have food. There's nothing for you in here. There's nothing available. But they were coming in at one point because I'm like, what are the gases we can get? What are the compounds that can... I couldn't go in my bedroom for days because you would walk in there and you go, oh no, I'm dying. Let me lock this back for a few more days.
Well, you already have horrible lungs.
Yeah.
And on that topic, I stopped at Buc-ee's on the way up here. I told you I was going to get you a little gift. Are you ready for your little gift?
Always. I am always ready for people to show their love and appreciation.
Even though your lungs hate you, he's got horrible lungs, doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, but doesn't do anything, but his lungs just hate him.
Yeah.
So just in case you ever decide that you just want a cigarette break, here is a Buc-ee's lighter just for you.
That is... Buc-ee's has the best branding.
They do. They really do.
We'll give you one close-up. Are you ready, camera? Hit! I got you.
That is your gift, and I hope you love it.
I will use it for my candles, and if I ever develop a crack problem, hey, I've got that.
Yes, you do, and you can think of me every time you light up.
You have to prepare. You got to be ready for those situations.
Okay, so I do have another dating story. This one's more so like just psychotic and crazy. So I was dating this dude for the longest. He was so toxic, horrible to me. Honestly, one of the reasons I actually stopped my YouTube channel because it was just he was very manipulative, didn't support me doing it, but not going to get too deep in that. Anyways, at the end of mine and his relationship, we were like off and on for 6 months. We broke up, and later that week, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out with my friends, have fun, have a good time. We went to a house party, and there was a guy there, and I already knew him from mutual friends. So it wasn't like a random guy. Like, I had known him for years. Whatever, we just got to talking, we did some stuff. And the next day, my friend called me, and he was like, how did your ex get my number? Because he's blowing my phone up, asking where you were and what you were doing. And this man was going crazy on me. What did you do? Where were you? Who were you with? Like, da-da-da. Like, it's almost like he knew what happened. Even though we weren't together, we were broken up. We broke up earlier that week. We were broken up. It might have been a little too soon to move on, but it was a long 2 years of a toxic relationship. So I needed a little getaway. And he was blowing up my phone, my friends' phones. I still don't know how he got their number. He had to have gone through my phone to get it, because we were literally talking about it the other day.
Yeah, that is actually how I did get those numbers to be calling you.
Oh, right.
Oh,
right,
the person.
Yeah, the person. So me and my friend were talking about it the other day. He was like, I still don't know how he got my number, because it's just, he does not give his number out to anybody. So he had to have gone through my phone, got it. He was blowing up every single one of my friends. He was blowing up my parents' phone. It was bad. And it's like he knew, but I didn't want to tell him because it would have made him go even more psychotic. Mind you, we weren't dating, but it still would have made him go even more psychotic and crazy. So I played it off like, nah, I was just hanging with some friends, and later on, my ex ended up sending some really bad stuff of me that he had to pay to get to, if you know what I mean, and sent it to my parents. And that's how that whole story ended. And he kept calling and texting. He still texts me every now and then to this day. They're like cockroaches. They come crawling back always. Still is, hits me up every now and then. I'm just like, get off my phone. It has been years. Please, we've been done. And after that, I was like, okay, unlike you, I don't want the psychotic crazy ones. I'm good on that. I want a down-to-earth, humble, genuine person. I don't need the toxic, psychotic, I'm gonna murder you craziness. I have enough of that going on in some other stories. I don't need that in a relationship.
I just, and to victim blame in this situation, I think that is why you don't sugarcoat things and you just lay it out.
I mean,
now,
I guess.
obviously, that guy was in the wrong. Other than you're a woman, so everybody hates you. It's the internet. It's what you got to do. But
everybody hates the strippers. I swear,
you just
everybody
lay it out. You just say, "What were you doing?" And I was at a house party. Me and some people, and it's like, okay, let's lay this out there.
If I did, I don't even want to know what he already broke into my parents' house through a window that I had to pay to replace. And I came home one day and this man's laying in my bed after like 6 months of us stopped talking, completely done, over with, way moved on. I come home one night to him in my bed, which the next day is when I found out the basement window was broken, and that's how he got in.
But 100 years ago, that would have been a romantic story.
No, this is not no Romeo Juliet.
It's a guy with persistence, with
a Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Hey,
right.
and women love Dahmer.
No, it was. Oh God, it was something else. That man was something else. I swear to God. But so there's one last part to that story though. So the guy at the house party that I met up with, and we got into it that night. Oddly enough, so my ex was blowing my phone up on my friends, everything, da da da. Texted the guy's number, got his number, and was like, what did we do that night? Like pretending to be me on my phone. What did we do that night? I don't remember. And the guy said what happened. So he finally got his answer. And then my ex was acting crazy, like, no, that didn't happen, like texting the guy, no, that didn't happen. That didn't even happen. I don't even know what was going through my ex's head to like pretend to be me and switch up on like, oh, what happened that night? No, that didn't happen. I don't know. It was weird. So the guy at the party, I used to work at a smoke shop, showed up to that smoke shop like 2 weeks later and was looking at me like I was batshit crazy. And I mean, I understand because I went back and saw all the texts and I didn't even know how to, like, there's no way to go at that point and make it up from there and be like, sorry, he took my phone. That wasn't me. Like, that's not believable. I just kind of left it at that and was like, we're just never going to speak of this again, And when I tell you that man was looking at me like I was batshit crazy when he showed up to my smoke shop, thank God my best friend was working and she took him and checked him out and everything, because I ran to the back after I saw the look he was giving me. I was like, oh, that's pretty awkward, and just ran to the back. And I haven't seen him since, thankfully. If I could go explain everything to him, I would try to, but at this point it doesn't even matter. What's done is done.
That's why I'm a big believer in you don't run from the awkward, you bathe in it.
I can't.
I see that person coming in and it's like, ooh, I'm getting out my robe for after this little dip in this little pool of awkwardness. Let's soak in it. Let's enjoy it. Because if you can tolerate it, you can make it to where the other person can't. So you just have to say, we're going head down, we're pushing through. We're going to like enjoy this moment and just sit in it. Oh, it feels so good. You just have to learn to look for that amazing thing and just love it.
This man probably thought I was like psychotic because it wasn't me texting him. It was my ex. But he doesn't know that. He thought it was me being like, hey, so what happened that night? No, it didn't. That didn't happen. Like, he's probably like, what the fuck is wrong with this girl?
And so you either explain it or embrace it. Just be like, hey, look, there's 2 versions. You got version 1 now. You had version 2. It flip-flops. Deal with it.
I took the L and moved on. I was like, you know what?
That's
and
fair.
Left it at that.
That's fair. That is, sometimes you have to do that, because I know I once met a girl and she was great. She was pretty and she was into things that I liked. And we were talking. We're like, oh, we're going to go on this date. And she was excited about it, and she checked in with me the night before. I'm like, yeah, and then we're talking, and I found out she liked NASCAR. I like NASCAR because NASCAR is amazing. You just can't admit it to people because you're supposed to be ashamed of it, but it's great. And then she said she didn't like the Drive for Diversity program, and you have so many legitimate complaints about the program. I'm for it, but there is things you could dissect and say, well, that's not good. So I asked her, like, oh, why is that? And she just said, because I don't think those people should be in our sport. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't know that kind of language still existed. I didn't know people our age had that level of hardcore, old school, terrible thoughts. So I was like, oh no, I don't know what to do here, because there's no conversation. If somebody's like, well, sometimes at night I get nervous and I cross the street when I see certain people, I can be like, you know what?
Stop it.
But
get some help.
We can talk about this and you can be fixed. But on that level, no, you're gone. So I did the mature thing and I was like, okay, sure. And she was like, the next day, she's like, we're still on for a date tonight. I was like, of course we are. She's like, you're going to pick me up this time? I was like, of course I. And then I wait, and that time comes and goes, and she gets all dressed up for a nice dinner, and she's excited. And then she texts me, because she's like, hey, where you at? Because it's 15, 20 minutes past when you were supposed to pick me up. I was like, oh, no, I'm not coming. Because at least it's like, I get to stand her up. I get to shut it down, stand her up, and end it, because that's all I can do. I can't convince her to be better. She's too far gone.
And they say women are the bad ones.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait, so are you on the racist side in this story?
No.
You're saying, I'm saying women are the bad ones because she was the crazy one.
But you standing her up, you could have at least just let her know up front. Be like, hey, I'm sorry. I have my nephew I have to babysit, just like I did with you when I stood you up at that first photo shoot.
But I wanted it to sting. In your mind, you were making it better. For mine, I'm like, I want to make there be some attack to her where she's excited, she's dressed up, she's ready, and then just rug pull, which is what she did to me with saying those people.
I can't argue that. There's some people that have done some shisty things to me where I would want to make them sting. I would want to make them sting and feel it.
And that's the most level I could do. I mean, I guess like I could have been more elaborate.
Respectable. It could have been worse.
Yeah.
Could have been way worse.
At least you let me know, because you don't think to ask beyond that. Like, I need to send pictures of me with people all across the spectrum. Be like, does this offend you, I guess? Because you don't really think to ask that. You just assume this person doesn't hate people for illogical reasons. They hate them for logical reasons. Like, they drive a Miata, or
oh my God,
they love Starbucks and want to talk about it.
I can't argue that. I really can't. I can't.
But, at least you grow, and then you just give up dating eventually. That's what you do in life.
Yeah. I mean, I gave up on myself way before that, so we're still working on that one. We'll figure that one out one day.
Yeah, sure. If you want to imagine it can be fixed, that's really good. I like the positivity.
It's like a vase, like a fine china vase that your parents bought, and you knock it off on accident and it's shattered, but you're just slowly using like nail glue, not even Gorilla Glue or super glue, nail glue to try and piece it back together. But it's never going to be the same. It's not.
It's like that analogy, except yours is you were a broken vase and you were put in a dumpster because the owners didn't want you.
A vase from Goodwill.
But then luckily...
A vase from Goodwill, too.
But then, you were an abandoned broken vase. And then luckily there was people like, I guess we'll take you and try to fix you.
I guess. We'll try.
Versus me, my parents loved me.
Hey, at least my parents, they were like, you know what? Because they didn't want me after they adopted my brother and my sister. And if y'all remember, I made a story about my adoption a long time ago. They were done after that. They were like, we're good. 2 is enough. They called my brother that lives in New York that was sent to a different family. I just got in contact with him and met him. It was amazing. After 25 4 years of never really knowing about him or meeting him. Finally met him. Amazing
and I think
experience.
that'll be good to dive into in the next one. Just tell that whole experience and story, because that is a fascinating process.
Oh yeah, it's crazy because like they did not want any more after they got my brother and my sister, and the family that my other brother has said no, we don't want any more kids. They called my parents and were like, hey, do y'all want to adopt one more? We want to keep the siblings together. And my dad was the one that answered the phone, and he was like, he loves kids. Like, he loves kids. He was like, yes, we want her. And the lady on the phone was like, do you want to speak about it with your wife first? He goes, no, we want her, without even like asking my mom, which she was cool with it because I mean, here I am. But it was so funny. And then they ended up adopting me, and it ended up in a beautiful little story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it all culminated in you getting a bunch of YouTube views talking about the process.
No, that video didn't even do that good.
Y'all should go back and watch it.
Ew, no. I was so young and just, I don't know. Like, I still love my older videos, but I'm just like, I was such a different person. Like, now that I've grown up, like, after like just becoming an adult, buying a property, buying cars, having to like maintain your property and your cars, and I didn't know what paying a mortgage was, or like interest rate. I didn't know any. They don't teach you that in school. They really need a class on that, but they don't teach you that. Figuring just like all of life out and becoming like independent on your own, like really just shaped me into a whole new person. So looking back at my old videos, I'm just like, I had no idea that life only gets worse. It only gets worse in a good way though, if that makes sense.
Sure. And on the bright side, eventually you don't have to do it anymore. So you have that to look forward to.
I know. I have my funeral planned out to a brim.
Just leave it for everybody else. You don't
You
have
know,
to
they
deal
make
with
a website now. I saw it on Shark Tank. They make a website where you can go ahead and pre-plan your whole funeral. And people can put money into it, so that if something does happen, you already have everything planned out, and then people just go and do what you ask. I was like, that's genius for the people like me that already have it planned out.
whatever happened to being a burden to your family? I think you just rack up debt. Then whenever you go, the family's like, oh, he's in debt and we have to pay for his funeral. It's just, there's something nice to know that they'll really be thinking about you when you go for the next year.
And that's why cremation is a thing. They're gonna be like, we're gonna be cheap with it. Okay, like $10,000 to bury someone. Nah, we'll do the cremation for $2,000.
Yeah, I'll be gone by that point, so I won't care.
Probably.
Well,
You're probably gonna outlive me.
How many times have I been to the doctor in the past 6 months?
Okay, but how many reckless, sketchy situations have you gotten yourself into compared to me, where I walked away thinking, how did I survive that? And that leads me to a good story in the Bahamas with a good friend of mine, where we got into a stranger's car, and it's a whole nother story of where I don't know how I made it back alive, but we'll save that for another episode.
I'm excited, and I'll roll in some of the other interesting choices I've made in the future episode, but I feel like we've got a good one, and I really appreciate everybody that's coming and checking it out, and especially seeing me, because nobody knows who I am. I'm just the random guy that showed up.
Yeah, I found him on the corner at McDonald's, and I was like, hey, yo, you look like you could use a large fry and a sweet tea and, a good conversation. So that's how that came about. But no, I appreciate you guys for tuning in for episode 2. For our next episode, we're probably going to be getting into rating some cars, or we have a few ideas. We don't know exactly which one yet. It'll probably definitely be a little bit more car related. We just did want to step out a little bit and just get into some interesting stories for anybody and everybody. So we might or might not be rating cars. If you have any ideas, go ahead and comment down below, and if you want to see something in specific for the next episode. But I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in, watching. And this was definitely a good one.
Absolutely. We'll see y'all next time.
We'll see y'all next time.